Okay, so this is one of my all-time favorite topics to talk about. Um, and I'm even more excited right now because of the state of our world with COVID. It's I know you guys have heard about it, you know about it. It's nothing new, no new information, but I just want you to stop for a minute and kind of maybe look at this through a different lens and perspective. And so that's what I'm hoping to share with you today. So we're going to talk about, and it's not I didn't make this phrase up. I've heard it somewhere, but I really love it. It's called create your own economy. And the way in which we do that is through multiple income streams. Now, this is a business strategy topic. So that's what we're talking about today. So first of all, let's talk about what does that even mean? Okay. When you talk about creating your own economy, um, it means that you can, if you're working a job, it means you cannot be fired or laid off or underpaid, because when you work for yourself, no one can tell you how much you're going to earn and what you're going to do and when you're going to come in. Like, it provides the freedom. Now, I worked for 20 something years for other people, and I had a business. I built a business on the side because I understood the importance of diversifying my income. And so, you hear about it in business circles saying, oh, you got to diversify your business income. But we've now seen through COVID, we have to diversify our personal income,
Yeah.
because the job is not security. And it isn't, we've always dealt with the insecurity of bosses who don't get it or who don't value us. But now on top of that, the unthinkable has happened.
Yeah.
A virus has come along and it has wiped out millions of jobs for people. And so we need to, that's something to consider. And we don't know, just, and this happened and we kind of know what the repercussions are right now, but we don't know what's next. Okay, we don't know what the future is going to be, and things are going to change and shift, and businesses will fold and new ones will pop up. So if you're the one that pops up your business, then that's your security. Okay, it's security of knowing no one can take it from you. And what I'm about to share with you is going to help you see how you can always pivot and you can always shift and change, and you can't do that in a job. If you're a chef or you are a retail clerk, you can't shift, you can't pivot. They couldn't pivot in COVID. It's not working. So this is going to allow you to be able to do that. Another reason I feel this is so important, and what it means to have your own, create your own economy through your own business. It means that you are flexible and you can change quickly with current conditions. So no matter what happens, lockdown or not, mask or not, um, you can change how you're doing. If what you're doing isn't going to fit into that, you can change it, and you can do it very quickly. That's why these big franchises are folding. They're too big. They can't pivot. They can't do it, because they just don't have that ability to be that flexible. The other thing is there are no glass ceilings. So outside of COVID, okay, let's say when the world goes back to normal, and am I'm an optimist and believe it will be. But even outside of that, when you have your own business, there's no glass ceiling. Now, anyone who's worked, any of you have ever worked for any kind of company where you've worked your way up, the ladder only goes so high. And then you get to the point where they go, well, that's it, the next step's owner, and that's me and not you. Okay, so in your own business, you don't have that glass ceiling. You can choose what you earn. You don't have to accept what someone is going to pay you. Okay, now what has happened through COVID is, and I always watch what's going on in the business world and in our economy and market. And those that have their own business in play, who put in diversification ahead of COVID, and they understood how to pivot their business model, they are not only surviving, but they are thriving. I'm going to give you an example of just a local company here where I live. There's a company, it's called Cavalier Produce, and they provide fresh produce from all the local farms, because I live in a rural area, to the restaurants. And we're near Charlottesville, Virginia, and Richmond, Virginia. Really, big places, tons of restaurants. And so that's their business, and they provide all the fresh vegetables to them. Well, guess what? That's not a great business to be in when we're in lockdown, because restaurants are closing or limiting or, whatnot. So their business, just totally died. So what they did though, is they made what we call a market shift. Okay. Their market, there's nothing wrong with, they can still get their vegetables, they can still run the business as it is. It's just that their target market, the restaurants they don't need them anymore. So that's a market shift. So what they did is they built up a web page with a shopping cart so that local people could go on and order their produce, and then they would have it ready for curbside pickup. Okay, so they very quickly shifted around, and they were able to then and do that. And they were putting on their on the information on the newsletters that they send out, that it has been so successful that they are going to add that as another component of their business. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. That's multiple income streams at work. So when things go back to normal, not only did they survive and do very well, they discovered a whole new stream of revenue. And now when we go back to normal, they're going to be able to have both. Okay, so here's another example. This is a shift, at what we call a model shift, a business model shift from service to education. So we have this, this was a former client of mine, and I did a lot of work with them with consulting and different things when I worked for an accounting firm. And then I actually did some more work with them later on, but they are a large home cleaning company. Okay, and they've got fleets of vans and people that go out and clean homes and whatnot. Well, when COVID happened, of course, it made it much more difficult. They were still able to, they weren't going to shut down, but they lost a significant amount of income because either people were too afraid to, have them in their house, or the people lost their jobs or were underemployed and couldn't pay for that service anymore. And third, people are at home a lot more, so now they don't have no excuse that they can't clean their house. So they had all that happening. So what they did is they shifted, they were able to shift their model, and in addition, they kept their service going, but then they added on an education piece. So what they started doing is they were now teaching people how to clean their home like a pro in half the time. Okay, that is a model shift. Now these shifts are during, times of disruption, but you can do the same thing just to simply add to your revenue streams. Okay, so now we'll go back to what this is. So what we're talking about here is creating a new source of income for your existing business. Now, when I say existing business, even if you haven't started your business, if you're in startup phase, still pay close attention, take notes, because this is the next level. Okay, once you get your first business going, this is what you do. You just iterate. You just do the same, the process we just went through, the Encore Empire Validate Your Business framework and process that you did day 1 through 4. You use this to figure out what that next stream is. It's exactly the same process that you're going to go through. Okay, so why is this important? Because this gives you the security of diversification. That way, as we just saw in the examples, if one income stream dries up, you have another one to cover it, and you can expand based on whatever is happening in the market. The second reason is leverage. Okay, and what leverage means is that you are making more out of what you have already. Okay, so the first thing in business is we have fixed costs. And these are things that you have to pay for, whether you sell one thing or sell 100 things. Okay, you need internet, you have to pay for your internet regardless. So those costs are a set amount per month. And if you make one sale, then all your fixed overhead expenses are taken up that revenue. So the more you sell, the less of a percent that expense is taking up. Okay, so that is where your profit comes from. So if you're already going to be paying for all of this stuff and you build a new income stream using what you already have and the resources that you have, and it goes beyond internet. These are things like educate, content that you already have, messaging you already have, systems that you already have, and hardware, all of that stuff. So you're not having to go out. The mistake I see people make is that they don't think about this leveraging piece. They go, I'm going to diversify. I'm going to get a new income stream. So even though I'm providing this service, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to teach people this whole new other thing that has nothing to do with this thing, because that's diversifying. That's not smart. It is diversifying, but it isn't smart. You build off what you have. We talked before, you've got building blocks. You make the house bigger, don't go build another house. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Okay, so the other thing you're leveraging is existing customers. Okay, if you already have people buying things from you, whether it's educational services, products, you want to sell more to those people, because it takes 5 times more effort to get a new customer to buy from you than to sell something to somebody who already is in your customer pool, because it's the know, like, trust factor. They know you, they like you, they trust you. If you tell them, hey, I've got this great new thing in addition to the thing you're already buying, they go like, fantastic. And then they buy. Like there's you don't have to do a bunch of marketing around it. The other thing you're leveraging is your time and your knowledge. Because when you go to learn something entirely new and entirely different than what you've already been doing, it takes a lot of time that you have to spend learning that thing. So you build off where you are. You might have to learn a little bit of something new, like a new marketing strategy or a new piece of software or something, but it isn't this big, huge new thing. It's just a little piece of a new thing. Okay, and the last way to leverage is you want to be in a position to take advantage of opportunities, just like we talked about in the examples. Okay, so now how does this work? One thing I want to caution you about is when you are looking at doing this, adding on another income stream, you have to be very careful about shiny object syndrome, because as soon as you when you stop focusing on your main thing and you start looking at possibilities, that's when you're vulnerable. Because all of a sudden there's all these things, you're like, oh, I could do this and do this and this. So you really have to be careful about that. So here's my advice to you, is the first thing to do before you even go there is master and maximize your first model. Okay, whatever it is you are doing or going to do with your business, master it. Like, make it to where it's really working. Now, this doesn't mean stay in the struggle forever. Like, if you've been working on it, been doing it, and it isn't bringing the revenue that you want or need, there's nothing to master there. Mastering means making something that's already working work better. So don't stay in the struggle, and you need to look at a different model. But if it is working and you just haven't really pushed the envelope, you've tested, you've done a little bit with it, seems to be like it's working, that's when you push it and see how far can you take it. So stay there first. When you know you've got that mastered and you've maximized, that's when you're going to be looking to add on another income stream. And the way that you do this is you add on you're doing a combination of models. So you can add on another service or another educational product that is related to your existing customer base. Or you can add a product that would make sense and is in line with their needs and wants. Okay, again, you're looking at your audience. That's why we say go back to that validate your business framework we showed you, because you're going to look at your ideal customers again. You know who they are this time, But now you're going to go through, well, what do they need? You're going to do the research part. What else do they need? So if somebody is, let me give you an example of one of my businesses. Okay, so I've been in the e-commerce business for 10 years. That was my first model in it, and I got to the point of mastering it and maximizing it. Okay, I was able to build systems. I have a team. I have people that help me. So that freed me up to then do something else and to add another income stream, because selling products online is all the rage, but I am selling on third-party marketplaces like Amazon, Walmart. That means I don't have control over that platform, and I don't own my customers. They are their customers. So the very first thing I did is I went over on and started my own shop on eBay, and that way I could have some control over my audience, over my customers. Now, I was selling I sold a lot of different products, because on Amazon, it isn't so important you don't have to be a niche. You can, and that's a whole nother strategy, but you don't have to. You can just sell pretty much anything with a barcode. the margin's right on. But I'd gotten into travel because I figure out where there are holes in the market. So I was selling travel products like luggage and carry-on bags and, all those cute little things, that are this big that you can put your shampoo and stuff in. And so I thought, okay, well, if I'm selling this, I know these people, they are spending money on other things in their lives, right? Besides the stuff. Well, what is it they're spending on? They're traveling. Hello, because they're buying the stuff to go travel. So I thought, and I met a friend of mine. She had started a travel agent business. And so she and I were talking, and I said, you know what? I could do that too, because this particular, and I ran it through this criteria we've talked about. I already had the customers. They were already traveling. So, and they were paying somebody, even if it was, one of those search engine places, hotels.com or whatever. They're paying somebody. They weren't paying, but there was a commission involved. Okay. Like somebody was getting a commission from these people paying for travel. So as my friend explained to me, she goes, well, you can have your own travel agency service. And she says, and we happen to have, I call it a travel agency in a box, because they have figured the whole thing out. I had to learn some, but I didn't have to learn a big thing. I didn't have to set up a big thing. It was all set. Like I was already hooked into every vendor you could possibly think of for travel. I thought, well, that's awesome, because I could take the people who are buying products from me, and then I could add on the service. And so that's what I did. Then while I was building this, COVID happened. Travel got shut down for the most part, but I was able to pivot. And this is the key point. Now I pivoted and I decided, okay, we are in a market now where people need jobs, they need business. Well, I don't believe, that's my personal opinion. I think nobody should have a job. I mean, somebody's got to have jobs, but I think it's much more important for those of us who are able to do it. We need to have a business. So I thought people need businesses right now, and I know how to teach people how to build a business. And so that's what, and then I had met Carmen simultaneously, stars aligned, and we came up with Encore Empire. And here's the thing. So that part of my business, it's sitting right now, not doing a whole lot. I do have a couple people that, are booking travel for like 2022. But it's there for when the market, when conditions change again. Guess what's going to happen? When it opens up and that vaccine hits, man, oh man, everybody is going to be traveling. They're going to be dying to get out of their house and go somewhere, anywhere. So I'm going to be ready and in a position to take advantage of that. Okay. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the power of this. Okay. So to wrap this up for you guys, run your ideas through the Encore Empire Validate Your Business Idea Framework. Okay. And you can run it. It's risk-free. Run it over and over and over. Run different ideas through there. Do it as many times as you want to. Until you'll get the aha. You'll know it. Like when you go through it and really truly go through it and test, like maybe you end up with 2 or 3 ideas. You go, I think, they're all kind of related. Don't try to build all 3. So like, let's say that you want to teach people how to cook a meal like Applebee's. Okay. It's their favorite restaurant. So you're going to teach them how to cook all their favorite recipes from Applebee's, because you're really good at, those copycat recipe things. You can do a lot with it. There's so many ways to monetize it. You can teach people to do it through, online learning. You could write a book about it. You could do personal one-on-one chef coaching. There's a lot of ways. You could then sell them the products they need and the spices they need to make the thing. Okay. So there's a lot of ways, but here's the important part is you need a plan. Okay. You can't, because you will be all over the place and get nowhere when you start trying to do it all. So that's why I say pick one, validate it, master it, maximize it, and then you start adding one. And so once you do that, then you test it. Okay. Then you go to market, test it out, and see if your theory is holding true. If what you thought was going to happen is happening. And it doesn't have to be on a big scale. You don't need 500,000 orders to figure out if it's going to work. You just need a few. And if it's working and people are happy, then you expand it. Okay. And you scale it. Okay. We live in a world where there's no shortage of companies that are selling magic systems that bring you quick and massive profits. I mean, if you've been on the internet for any amount of time or seen Facebook ads, they're all positioning themselves as systems and tactics, and they will cure the revenue bottleneck in your business just in one fell swoop. And a lot of people are spending their money on these quick fixes, and then they are very disappointed when they discover it just doesn't work the way that it says that it's going to work. Now, and you've heard all the pitches, we show you how to have a $300,000 launch just like we did, or make $50,000 in sales in your first month selling products online. It does. Now that is possible. Okay. It is not probable. And here's what they're not telling you, and they're not lying. I mean, and a lot of them have done that, but here's what they're not telling you. They're not telling you that it works sometimes, but not all the time. They're not telling you how many times they tried it or different ways they tried it and it didn't work. And they are not telling you that sales and marketing can be hit or miss. And there could just be one component, like they can teach you, but they are not you, and you are not them. It could be something that's unique about them, because every business is different, and every product is different, and every market is different, and every business owner is different. Now, I'm not saying that you can't learn from other people or take courses, because you can, but just keep in mind that there is no one size fits all solution. And what they're not, the piece you're missing is that you needed to have, in order for that thing to work, it isn't you that didn't make it work. It's the fact that you needed to have a solid business model, or a client base, or systems, or a combination of those things, or $10,000 to spend on products or advertising in place before you did it to make it work. So that's one of the key components of our new program and the Profitable Business Launchpad. So what we are teaching is not as sexy, and we don't get to come up here and go, woo, wow, look at what we did. But what it is, it's the very foundation and the education you need to build a business that is profitable, not just one time, but we teach you how. We're not giving you the fish, we're teaching you to fish, and how to steadily grow month after month, year after year. Because as Carmen said, this is a long game. And if you if you only want to have a business for 2 years, don't just don't even do it, because it is a big commitment, and it takes longer than that. You can make money in 6 months in a business. But 80% of new businesses fail in the first 5 years. And that's a statistic you can find everywhere. And why is it? It's because they didn't have these foundational principles. They didn't understand what we've been talking about, and they didn't get that put into place, because you have to have that in order to grow and scale. And it's much more powerful to be able to increase your income and grow your business by a small percentage every single month, because it compounds over time, rather than having this spending a whole bunch of time and effort to do this one big thing. And if it worked, great, but what if it doesn't? It's kind of like playing the lottery, and you don't want to play the lottery with your business and with the time that you put into it. So as Malcolm X said, the future belongs to those that prepare for it today. So start today so that you will be prepared to thrive and to design your life tomorrow, because you have the power to do it. And then we can show you how.